Hey everyone, hey and welcome back to yet another episode of Battle Rap Resume. This is your host, Tom Kwei here, solo for, a little rambling episode. I've been thinking what I can do during this lockdown period. I hope you're all okay, by the way, out there, or as okay as you can be. It's chaotic, to say the least. It's unprecedented. I hope you're washing your hands, you're gripping your sanity. I mean, in these turbulent times, I've found that dipping back into the passions has really helped to ground me somewhat. That's not to say that I'm not always watching battle rap to a certain extent for the show or just as a fan, but I've really been just going back to the battlers that I truly love, that made me fall in love with this thing, and people that I have admired for years. And I just wanted to put together this episode. Not really got any notes or anything. Obviously, I've got my top 10. I'm going to be going through my top 10 UK battlers of all time. This is not going to be in any order either. I'm not going to go in 10 to 1 or anything. It's just a general list. I guess, most people are going to just think Soul is number one. And, of course, Soul's in this list. But when I tweeted this out a few weeks ago that I was having these preliminary thoughts for the episode, a lot of people were getting back to me and be like, well, it's technically a top 9, isn't it, because Soul's the glued on thing, and that's indisputable, and we'll get to that. But in terms of the format, I want to go through each battler, explain who they are, maybe how I got into them, their style, go through the verse tracker, talk about the battles, and also the episodes that I've done with them, because everyone on this list, and that's not a reason that they're on this list, I'm just very blessed to be able to say this, everyone on this list has been on the show, often on multiple episodes, on Masterminds, etc. So, we got to get a little plug in for BRR. Can't be completely selfless here with the praise. But no, so this is going to be my top 10. Of course, you're going to disagree. It's not going to be exact to anyone else's. If you've listened to this show, you know my tastes. You know what I enjoy in battle rap. I lean more to the obscure bar and, I like a more scholastic pursuit, I suppose, to a certain extent within battle rap. So, we'll ruminate on that as we go through. And, this list, it's interesting putting this list together, really, because I would say 6, 7 of these I just knew. I just, wrote them down on the sheet of paper. Easy. There's no way that I'm not going to talk about these guys. But those 3 spots that were up for grabs, there's a lot of battlers that could have slotted into there. And there certainly was a lot of and ahhing, especially between 2 guys that I was like, I can't leave him out, but there's no way I can't, And you will get to that. So I'll go through at the end, who I've left out or who I feel has maybe been unfairly left in the cold. But it's just 10 people, that's all you can really allow yourself. So I didn't want to make it too splurging. I didn't want to do a top 50 or anything like that, mostly because I can't be asked. So yeah, we're going to go through the top 10. Just before we do, as always, follow the show at battlerapresume. I'm over there as ever on the Twitter. Get in touch with me, battlerapresume@gmail.com. Don't get as many emails as I used to, early in the day. I used to get quite a lot in like 2016, 2017, but it's fucking mental that this show has been going on for so long now. It's kind of baffling to me that we're 4 years, more than 4 years we've been doing this thing, which I kind of can't really comprehend. It's kind of frightening. So yeah, we're doing the top 10 today. What else is there? Patreon, of course, is there. If you enjoy the show, if you want to give back to the show, I understand completely that these are testing times mentally, financially, and I don't expect anyone to donate over there or anything like that, but people do, and it's greatly appreciated. And basically what you get access to is episodes like this. Anything that I'm editing, anything that I'm putting together goes on there first. Leave a review on iTunes, go over onto iTunes, subscribe to the YouTube channel, comment down below what you think of my top 10, what your top 10 is. I'd love to see that. Like, one of the things you guys will be aware that I do a Metallica podcast, and one of the things that I did over there was do like my top 10. I sort of ranked their albums, and I did another episode subsequently going through other people's rankings and reading their references and their ideas. That was a lot of fun. So yeah, this is my top 10 UK battlers, and why don't we start with number 10?
Because you covered bad bars to cover your bad bars. And to cover a lack of bars. You're strapped for bars. I'm always strapped with bars. Different caliber, different class. I got clash bars to rock the Casbah. Drop Kabbalah bars over your bar leg like a Yamaka. When my paragraphs are in camouflage and screaming, Allahu Akbar!
God is great.
My bars are issuing fatwas against the infidel matter bars. I got massive bars, fat bars, random bars, unanimous bars.
Of course, it's Ogmios. I mean, a real true original. I'm going to say a genius. Someone so unique, really took battle rap as an intellectual pursuit to really a new level. I mean, some of my all-time favourite sequences in battle rap writing come from this man. I mean, he really is one of a kind, playing into that kind of, that existential indigo child, but still being very grounded and pragmatic, someone who is just as comfortable referencing gaffer tape in the aisles in his heavy D battle and his tryout battle, all the way up until when he's talking about the what a multitude of things. When he's talking, I think he's talking about quarks and leptons versus matter, and those sort of sequences, and his research game as well. Ogmios was someone that I was always kind of aware of in battle rap, certainly when I was getting into it, around that, what was that, 2012, I was coming in as that Killer Crop was coming in, but I wasn't really aware of him at that point per se. I remember him being on thumbnails and such, kind of when I was subscribing. I guess that was when the top 8 tournament was going down, which would have been the Side A tournament, I believe. Yeah, Side A, because the Side B culminated at 4th birthday. So I think I remember seeing, the C major thumbnail and stuff like that, and being slightly cognizant of him, but not really knowing who he was. And then going and watching battles. I remember the C major battle coming out. I remember being at fucking train station, Liverpool Lime Street, and downloading that onto my laptop offline, MP4, for the train over to Manchester, and watching it quite a few times just to play tennis, etc. But just really someone that I just think is entrancing. He has his own rhythm, he has his own pace, his own lexicon. There are a few of these kind of enlightened types in battle rap, that I really like Random comes to mind, for example, and even in a slightly different direction, like a QP type figure. Obviously, they battled as well, but I gotta put Ogmios on there. We get the Damien Hirst reference versus Most Prob. I'm enamored to references, probably to a fault, actually. I should focus on more important things in battle rap, but I've got to put Ogmios in there, and, only 23 battles looking back on Verse Tracker. Total views 1.7 mil, 74 average. So, and they were all on Don't Flop as well, completely on Don't Flop, a company man, and I respect that. So, yeah, that's right. Yeah, he had the heavy duty battle. Then we had the Orcs battle, decapitated a passing falcon, and that's where he was developing his more long-form rounds. We saw that in, Adam the Rapper and other stuff like that. But he was also, as kind of playful as he can be very harsh. He can really put someone, on the spot to a point. Like his dismantling of O'Shea at that Nottingham event as the ceremonial battler is absolutely devastating. And that was kind of when Osh was in a bit of a fallow period. Osh was on a bit of a downslide, and it was the perfect time, for Og to dig in. And, Og, really that era, that sort of 2013 going into 2014 era, is an incredible time for him. Kind of really post 4th birthday, when he got introduced to the bigger stages. He took it and run with it. The Most Prob battle, the Matter battle, the Sopranos. When he talks about that, we all know that Tony kills Chris. Spoilers, by the way, but I think that was like 15 years ago when season 5 was airing. Season 6. It's what is it called? Heidi and Kennedy is the name of that episode, because that's the actual name of the girls that come on round the corner and cause them to swerve and stuff like that. So, this is going to be a rambling episode. I don't really have any notes here. The C major clash is such a dynamic back and forth. Lego, QP, you mentioned the black and white, just works for it. And Og kept going and going and going. Like, you guys may have listened before to the episode I did with Husey Plays, which is our most recent episode at the time of recording this. This is our Checkpoint 2 Classic Event Rewind episode. And Battle Quill. He was meant to battle Quill on the following day, but because of Harry Baker and Carter Deems, Og jumped in there with Quill, and that is just a terrific battle. Like, Og could really just, as we mentioned in that chat, could really kind of take an angle, like where he's dissecting leave the kettle on, like put the kettle on, like that whole idea, and just playing into it into a wonderful dynamic. And Og, we haven't seen Og for a little while. I was actually there at his final quote unquote battle versus Dialect. The last time Don't Flop were in Birmingham. Terrific event, great crowd. And he doesn't need to come back. He had kind of the perfect couple of years. What's that? He was here for 5 years, essentially, from the heavy duty battle all the way up to the Dialect battle. Has some wonderful music as well. On the show, we like to talk about Ogmios whenever we can. So he came on for episode 47, BRR 47. You may remember he plays instruments throughout the episode, opens with a gong. I think he ended with some sort of piccolo melody or something like that. I really dig Og's music as well. One of the series we used to do, well, we still do it per se, but I haven't really done it in a long time on BRR, is battle tapes, where we would go through musical releases from battlers. So me and Dave did the first two, the infamous Dave, who's one of the greatest guys ever in battle rap. We did the Lazy EP, and 10,000 Hours, and then with Michael Orlands, Michael came on and we discussed The Last Picnic, which I know he was a really big fan of, and I hadn't really listened much before that release, but adore that as well. And then we did an episode on Ogmios with Jonathan Rimmer, who I love have on the show, and we did our top 5 Ogmios rounds. I mean, yeah, I think Og, he's a wizard. It keeps getting attributed to him, but in the best possible sense, he is enchanting. Second battler that I want to talk about is Gemini.
You up against the best out last year. I mean, my goal was achieved. Your goal wasn't reached. You went for that crown and... yeah. We know how that went down, it's clear. We know how that went down, but the fans thought you would take it proud. You had the whole crowd prepared. For a minute you stole that picture, then had to give it back. That's the true story about Thomas in that crown affair. I mean, your history shows a pattern of losses in between the battles as your victories grow. Then I found it clear your inconsistency's prone to overhyping from round your peers, so you lose all your big battles. After winning so many, then fall back down. It's weird, face facts. Your career, it's like a face tap. The image represents you catch bodies, but we just see you dropping down a tear. But it's how you take a loss, Tommy. That's what makes you grow. When I lost my first battle, I remember. No, wait, I don't.
Gemin 1, as he's known, really showed quality from the off. And I know that he'd been rapping a long time up to that point. I found some videos, I remember when I was really deep in my gem bag early on, of him and Raw's rapping like years and years ago. They're both so young. So you could tell when he stepped up to the plate, he had that pedigree within him. He is... such a tactician, such a strategist, really, with his battling. Like, his angles, the shock stuff, of course, the Yunnan stuff. I don't think he was necessarily the person to reveal the Yunnan stuff, but he certainly put a bow on it and made it his. And I just adore this guy. I think his creativity, his cultural references, his poise, his authority. And it was no surprise that he rose up through the ranks very, very quickly. So we had him versus Vicious, which was the tryout, which isn't online anymore, upsettingly. That was the, I think Furtz put him on. That was like the first 2014 event, one of them, the Raise the Glass or whatever it was called, something like that, I don't remember. So, Don't Flop Training Days, of course, was the channel post extra. So that isn't online, as is the Soul Battle on the URL isn't online either. So, the first thing you can see of him is the Frankie battle, and, it's well established that, Frank did well, but he was just, what did Crafty say? Just there to help scout Scout Gem, like Atticus Finch or something like wild bar. But we're talking about Gemini. And, going through then, like, everyone talks about the Raptor Clash early on, the Tally Battle and stuff. And I loved how and co just saw, the ability within Gemini and gave him such a huge opportunity within Big T. I mean, I remember that video. That was back in the day when Don't Flop, every now and then would just post there would just be a video of like outside somewhere, 20 minutes just going through what was coming up. And I remember he was talking about what was that, Sixth Birthday. And I was just so excited to hear about Sixth Birthday because I was just as you guys know, I was such a Chiller stan, like massively. Like I just could not get over the MCD battles and the Kashi. Like, it was mind-blowing stuff to me. And I was just like, when the fuck is Chiller going to come over, And I knew that he was rumoured to be here. So I was watching this battle eagerly. And I remember saying, I think was even... I want to say he was like laughing in sort of disbelief and mirth because he was like, yeah, we're putting Gemini versus Big T, like we're just going to do that. And I remember seeing that live. I'm right at the front of that battle. I don't know if you can really see us though. It's quite dark in there. But we were there front of to see C versus Chiller. And this was actually probably a better performance than both of them, really. It's not to see that C wasn't great. I don't think Chiller was necessarily... on his A form. He seemed a little lethargic, perhaps. I mean, he seems a little lethargic anyway when he's battling, but certainly there. But yeah, got to put Gemini there. Going through again. The Yunnan battle is just such a consummate performance. Like he's just such in the pocket. He's so relaxed. He's so assured. I remember seeing him versus Dialect as well. That would have been the first time where I saw him after the Big T battle. Yeah, Wake Up to a Nightmare. And again, that was a performance that had us all entranced. I'm a huge Gem fan. He's been on the show a hell of a lot as well. I mean, we had him originally on for Battle Resume 26, another early episode. We had him on with Tox to debate their upcoming battle at Next in Line. Fucking hell, upcoming at that point. And that, of course, is also an excellent one-rounder. I love the fact that Tox sort of concedes after his first round that that it's difficult for him because Gem went first, and it doesn't really play into that. It doesn't work in Tox's favour at all. But anyone standing in front of those rounds from Gem, would be done for. He just kept going and going and going, just loading everything and just really attacking from all angles. The Clips battle as well, the Battle of the Brave. We had a long break from Gem as well, so we had the Tox battle at Next in Line. And then obviously we had kind of a little spree, a little cluster. We had the Raptor battle, Andy and the Shocks battle at Next in Line 2 as well, which was, that was kind of difficult to watch on the rewatch just because it's such a demolition, really. I've never seen something, you copy bars done quite so exquisitely in that way and so totally Gem is another one that I just think it's absolutely fantastic. We had him on to talk about he was meant to battle Swave, wasn't he? He was meant to battle Swave. He had like a leg issue or something like that, and I'll never forget being at the was that the 7th birthday fourth birthday pre-party. Swave was supposed to battle at is that right? The 4th birthday? Because no, 7th. It was 7th birthday. Yeah, it's just so many birthdays. And we were in this crowded room in the bunker, in the engine rooms, and the door opens, and people are battling, and Swave steps in. It's like fucking Swave's over, and he just like, where the weed at? Where the weed at? Just shouted that over the battle indiscriminately. I think I mentioned that to him on our episode. Actually, go check out the episode I had Swave on. That was really, really fun chat. I've had Gem on to recap the Shocks clash and talk about battling Shocks. Of course, Gem came on for Mastermind as well, Mastermind number 3, and Gem even hosted when me and Briggsy had our debate, had our face off. Oh God, we talk about in life, don't have regrets. The Briggsy battle is the one regret. I guess no, the one regret is not getting my bars out. It's just fucking it so mightily over there. Had and Gem on as well to discuss their stuff. But yeah, Gem again to me is just legendary. Okay, just before we get into the next one, just let me check a few of the comments because we are streaming this, and by virtue of the Rona, got a little bit of an audience here. just to clarify... Oh, Cameron, thank you, man. Cameron donating £2. Ogmios top 10 UKBR, he asks. Honourable mention at most. Now, if you've missed the intro to this video, which I know you listening at home wouldn't have, this is my top 10. Me, Tom Kwei. This is who I love personally, who I like to watch, who I return to. I'm not saying this is an all-time top 10 because there's going to be so many glaring omissions if you considered it from that angle. This is just my personal taste, really. A few people corrected me as well on that 8th birthday, 7th birthday sit. And yeah, this isn't in order either. This is not in order. Just because, I don't know, they're not all equal to me, but it doesn't really interest me to go through that paradigm. And this is kind of a last-minute thing anyway. So yeah, that was Gem. My next favourite battler that I want to talk about is, of course,
that it's easy to do what Eric writes. You say it's getting hot in here, that's a fucking Nelly line. And when you try, you never hit the target. Your attempts to be smart bomb every time. Never mind, just resort back to stealing from Hollow. You're like a Tumblr account. You just reuse shit from the people you follow. I see something that means nothing. You need to watch a tutorial to take you through each function. There's direct message, favorite, reply, they keep coming. There's other shit to use apart from the retweet button. And one more thing, getting a white grey t-shirt stamped with a pattern doesn't fucking cancel out the fact that it happened.
This guy, the big man, the boss, the cornerstone. But I just want to talk about him as a battler, really. I find him... I love his energy and his anger. You know, he comes from that jump off, WRC stock, and he really gives his all in his battles back then. He really barks. You can hear that intensity running through his voice. I mean, you know, consider him an ARC versus the Alien franchise and all those WRC, all those, you know, when I say trials, but those sort of, you know, those quarterfinals or whatever, moving out into the semis and beyond in New York. But yeah, I got to talk about you know, break anything down, decomposes, and all those ideas and the intelligence that he kind of channeled and funneled through a lot of his writing. I liked him early on. You know, I did like that rough and ready style, as I mentioned, like the Waps and Jay's Juice. Is such a kind of flagrant loss. It still stings all these years on. When he seemed to kind of become, you know, really a killer, though, when it got through into, you know, his grind time, his King of the Dart, those sort of overseas ideas, always maintaining that freestyle element to his game. And I like that later renaissance of when he was battling people. And it's a shame that he kind of just completely stepped away from that, but I understood when, you know, he was battling John and when he was battling 24/7 and people like that. The DNA clash is absolutely exceptional. I mean, I'm sure a lot of other quote-unquote new fans, you know, people who came in through the Killer Crop like myself, were surprised that even battled, and even more surprised that he was fucking brilliant. Like, not that you didn't expect it, but it was quite refreshing, really, to know that the person in charge of this was like a legit killer in his own right. And yeah, I really, really enjoy style throughout. Again, he just kind of, he knows how to skewer and pincer, you know, with the reverse live stuff. I think he really puts into rights there. What is it, the Rocky in the freezer taking bites of the meat and stuff like that. I mean, you know, there's a few left turns here and there. I cannot speak because I got bodied by Breezy, so I've got no right, really. I'm just a fan speaking, but still, Kid Twist battle is terrific. What else is there? The pamphlet battle, of course. The 2-on-2 versus Lopez and Bennett. I mean, multiple 2-on-2s. Like, I prefer, I mean, less watched, only slightly, though, only like 5,000 views. It's got quite a few views. Shazam and Nils and Skills versus and Kruger, because it's just such a long battle. It really gives them time to stretch out and just layer and layer and layer. So, yeah, I'm going to take there for the third spot. And, of course, you know, has been on the show many, many times. Battle Resume 37 was his inaugural episode, which I think is actually the longest BRR. I think it actually might be just slightly longer than the 3-hour Saurus episode. So, yeah, that's one that's out there. We did the Checkpoint preview. Of course, explained everything. We did the Mastermind Live as well with Danny Jack. And Sean Cray have been on to recap events like that. But, yeah, just for me, what can we say? The DNA battle, I think, is extraordinary, as I've mentioned. Even some of the freestyle stuff, like the one they did versus Pamphlet. They've done a few little battles, the grab bag and the on beat and stuff like that. And Hines as well, with their early April Fool's battle where they're going off the wall. And the battler next that I want to talk about is O'Shea.
You're in for the worst ass kicking in history. You like, why me? You Balotelli, bitch. We're getting rid of these New York rappers. There's no biggie like a Machiavelli wish. See, your lines are full of lies. Your bar's never truthful. Your whole style's hit and miss like an aggressive pupil. You get it? Hit and miss. Hit and miss like your whole style's hit and miss like an aggressive pupil. You get it? Hit and miss like an aggressive pupil. I'll end it on this, Charlie. I haven't got a gun, but if it did, you can fucking bet I'd shoot you. Listen. Too many sick bars in that face, so I'm gonna end it on a joke. Knock, knock. Who's there? Mind your own business. Time.
I mean, a tireless, workhorse, absurdist battler. If there was a UK Mount Rushmore, he wouldn't be on it. I think he'd be carved upon his glorious face. Here's someone again who has been there from the beginning. But for me with O'Shea, it's that rapid rataplan, which is a new word that I just learned recently, like drumming sound, that means, by the way. That kind of attack that he has, that piling on, that ability to kind of, Osh doesn't really dismantle anyone. He'll just kind of try and out-joke you, like we have seen, a more perceptive attack in, say, the Censor Battle, and sometimes he'll, Dirtbag Dan, for example, there's a slightly nationalist aspect to that I appreciate. But it's just when, think of the Luna battle, when he was talking about fans saying Luna's got a great foot, but it's like not about football, it's just that his heel's sick or something like that. And, he's doused in all that kind of 80s reference, horrorcore culture. And he's just seemingly never stopped battling ever. Like, what was the last match we got from him? Was it versus Matter, I think? So, Osh has 10 million total views, average 84k, 121 battles, according to Verse Tracker, but I'm sure he's done more and more and more. I mean, interesting thing about Osh as well, I remember Osh, this is before his record came out, but I've been doing BRR a little while at this point and like editing videos and stuff like that. And he messaged me, he said like, the record label or something wants to help promote it. So can you put together a best of O'Shea or something like that? And this was a time when I had nothing but BRR on the mind. So I was like, yeah, I'll fucking do that. And I enjoyed doing that. I'm not saying I was not saying stiff me. Well, that's a Freudian slip. I'm saying, O'Shea or anything, but I put together this video. It's called The Very Best of O'Shea, and it's like his best bar from every single one of his battles. I watched all of them, so try and find that if you can, if you want to kill some time during this downtime. Osh came on for BRR 17. I did the Q and O'Shea as well, so that was where Osh wanted to come on. And he said, like, let's just do a wrestling interview, which I wasn't really familiar what the format was, but basically the idea is that like I would just fire him questions. It wouldn't really be anything. And at the time, I was reading a lot of Proust, and I came across, as you do, and I came across trying to understand it, and I came across the idea of the Proust questionnaire, which a lot of people know as the Vanity Fair questionnaire. So you kind of ask, these quite abstract questions, trying to elicit more interesting answers than, what did you want to be when you grow up? It's like, how don't you want to die, or what smell do you most like, or stuff like that. The only answer I really remember, I think I said like, how don't you want to die? And Osh was like, I don't want to get an arrow to the head or something like that. So seek that episode out. We've had Osh came on to preview Aki Christmas. Osh was on for Mastermind 2. We've had him on for different file like that. But yeah, Osh again, another one that I just return to again and again. I think he's hilarious and captivating, and I just like his style. I really admire, like, you know, the love that he has of this thing and the passion that he runs into it. All right, and the next battler I want to talk about is, you know, really one of the true stars of UKBR, and that cannot be denied. Of course, I'm going to go with Shotty Horror.
Why, Clef is pally? I said I did it for a few G's. Tone watch your tone, cause if toe squeezing pumps, it's new sneaks. So stamp him like hot irons. I'm Brandon, old man like Bruce Lee. That's too deep. Cause Brandon's old man was Bruce Lee. For this weird diva with his cheerleader screaming, tell him, Tony. And he keeps him around cause against real deal he felt very lonely and he couldn't get his head in focus. If he doesn't have the fellas coaching, then he'll end up choking. But when he's with them, the buzz goes to his head and the pheromones are replaced by serotonin, and that made him forget who the king of this serotonin.
Shotty, who hasn't actually done a BRR episode, which I just realised. I have had him on the show before, but again, this isn't about me, this is about Shotty, and, you know, how can you not be enamoured with this guy's style? Like the spirit, the discipline, the professionalism that he brings. You know, everyone talks about, you know, he is one of our only stars or whatever, but like, you know, I mean, I've seen him twice. I've got to be honest, I don't really remember the Charlie Clips battle. You know, it was a long day. We were all tired. I think those on stage as well were very ratty, and it was just even the fun now. Looking at it now, Clips looks a bit pissed off. But you know, the John battle, I thought Shotty was magnificent there. He really did his due. Okay, he didn't dig in, like, you know, we spoke about this before. Check out when I was on Black Compass and stuff like that. He didn't necessarily explore narratives in a way I would want him to, but he's just, you know, consummate. Really, just an absolute pro at this, that you can tell he's put so much time into it, but is still effortless as well, and just has this you know, engaging charisma. He can go from just clowning, you know, the chicken and chips Maltese versus Yunnan to a more, you know, cerebral, writerly approach. You know, consider stuff versus Tony or versus Math, you know, or versus Hitman Holler as well. Really underrated battle, actually. But we think about the Arsenal battle, we think about the Fingers battle. I just think Shotty is absolutely excellent. He's kind of a undeniable cut above most people. It's not surprising that he's migrated the Atlantic in terms of consciousness of battlers, and, you know, people really look up to this guy, and rightly so. And he makes great music as well, and, you know, things are kind of derailed for everyone at this point, but he was making moves upon moves and continues to make them. And you know, we've had our differences in the past, slightly, you know, to a very minor extent, but I just think the guy is absolutely brilliant. And just this morning, actually, I was going back through the Daylight battle, and you know, again, I had the John battle playing in the background, and I just sitting behind John with the drum like Ringo and stuff like that, and just the level of writing, the detail that really pays close listening. I think Shotty is just, you know, one of the top tier in that aspect. So yeah, and as I say, Shotty came on to talk about Premier Battles Apex and his return to battling and all that sort of stuff. And I think I was trying to be, you know, I was trying to not throw him off guard or whatever, but I didn't want to ask him an obvious question on that episode. So I asked him about Ty the Poet. Remember Ty the Poet? And yeah, I don't really know why I did that. So next battler that I want to talk about, I'm sure you're not surprised that this guy's here, Shuffle T. You know, Shuffle T and Marlowe, we'll do those as the next two, because I kind of want to have Shuffle T and Marlowe, and then Shuffle T and Marlowe. You know, I want to kind of have the collective and individual.
Dinosaurs. The sort of obsession you get from boys when they're young, at the same stage that they're playing with their toys and their trucks. Raptor, of course, being Latin for boisterous cunt. Raptor, of course, being Latin for boisterous cunt, noisy and rough, and annoying as fuck. So you better be careful when you see Raptor in the place, because you never know when he's snapping in an angry little rage. Like, have you got the time? I checked my watch, but I don't have it with me, mate. Oh, it appears that you stabbed me in the face.
I'll stop pretending you're a G. Cracker studied drama at Roehampton Uni. Hell of a degree. You can imagine him now, dressed and ready for the scene where Romeo confesses. You can imagine him now, dressed and ready for the scene where Romeo confesses an obsession for his queen and pecks her on the cheek. And let me tell you, don't let any of his features like his hair and belly affect what you believe, because Cracker plays the best Dan Juliet I've ever seen. He mentioned Shakespeare? Shit, I've seen this dude in Two Gentlemen, Macbeth in every scene. Shit, this Ginger Goblin's more of a thespian than me.
But I'll treat them as two. And let's discuss them both. I mean, whereas Shuffle utilises sarcasm more in his attack, Marlowe is more manic and farcical. He kind of bristles with that crazed, infectious energy. And, I did an episode with Pamphlet many years ago now, maybe like 2 or 3 years ago. Great episode where we discussed if I do say so myself, where we discussed our top 10 funniest UK battlers or something on that regard. And I had Marlowe at number 1, and I still have Marlowe at number 1. Just to me, because again, this episode's all about my taste, you brought your goons with you. That whole sequence versus Dialect and Zen, I just think is perfect. It always cracks me up. And, Shuffle as well, because he's a bit more terse, a bit more dour, perhaps, a bit more acidic. I think he works better as a battler. Some of the concept rounds are legendary. Let's talk about Heretic. Let's talk about the Raptor Clash as well. Even as mentioned before on Checkpoint 2, we discussed him versus Bullets. He's still really funny in that. I guess his second round in that is kind of a concept round as well, where he's more talking about URL battlers and making the ultimate battler and stuff like that. But I mean, Shuffle, it wasn't that he was always promising, but the RS battle, the Liquid battle, the Gizmo and Seasling battle, battled Sergio as well. I don't know if anyone remembers that battle, Red JSD. Took quite a few battles actually. It's interesting. I was just watching a little documentary on Seinfeld the other day, and it was talking about how the 90s TV infrastructure culture was so different back then. They could allow shows to breathe, and the show only really gains an audience after 2 or 3 years, something like that. Am I comparing Shuffle to Seinfeld? I actually think Shuffle's much funnier than Seinfeld, to be honest with you. Shuffle was a bit like that. It took a little while, even the Double L battle of Mickey, where they lose to those guys. It kind of took a while for them to get, but oh my God, when he got cooking, Jesus Christ, what a breath of fresh air. What a mighty performer and thinker and constructor and a deconstructor as well. Shuffle the Anton Murphy rounds, the Soweto battle, which is a real kind of intellectual exhibition match. I think Shuffle talking about Archimedes war jeeps or something like that. I've definitely butchered that, as I butcher most bars that I quote on this. C Major and Cracker, the Shuffle performance in that is still the ultimate 2-on-2 for me. I just think they were just at their honed perfect best. And I just think Shovel T is out of this one. And it was nice to see later on, more into 2016, when Shuffle was battling solo more, the Dundee Clash, the Raptor Clash, the Lease Clash, which was a little, I don't know, it's a little too light-hearted for me. You can actually see me in the back of that one. But the Nils and Skills, Henry Bowers 2-on-2, the Jazz battle as well. Some phenomenal stuff. Marlowe, equally. Marlowe, he just seems to pack so much in. Marlowe's such good value, really. Really brings so much to the table. The Cracker battle. To be fair to Marlowe, though, he seemed to take less time to heat up, actually. From the off, what was it, Josh Fox, Birmingham, where, he was, any BRR fans know that back when I used to be clandestine before Soliloquy, I battled Murta and was I called Soliloquy then or clandestine? I can't remember. I think I was called Soliloquy then, but maybe clandestine. But Murta battled on the same day as Josh Fox. I remember him saying to me, he felt that was so buzzed because was like, fucking hell, we found someone, and really looking forward to the next try battle, and that turned out to be him versus what was that girl called that he battled? Sworded QC? Is that right? Sworded QC? Where she had that bar where it's like, I'm not saying you're going to France, but you're going to lose, and, stuff like that. So Marlowe, again, magnificent battler, wonderful guy. You know, his battle versus Deadman, I think, is terrific. The bunker battle, the Og battle was a little bit didn't quite work for me. But the Pedro battle as well. Why am I criticizing these people? These are my favorite battles. But you get what I'm saying. You know, I'm just sort of going for their verse track and riffing here. So yeah, Shuffle and Marlowe, got to go with both of those guys. All right, and next up is Kruger.
He's called DNA because when you say it, it spells it out for you. Yo, but I heard your spelling is getting better. But you still need spell check to spell check. You still need spell check to spell check and would have a spelling error. What the fuck are you doing in Leeds? You're an unusual breed. Because of the acne and grooves in your cheek, you're more of a Freddy Krueger than me. You look like Mr. Potato Head. Who would agree? Your face is the same shape and you both come with removable teeth.
Another pioneer, of course. I mean, Kruger, he marred that distinguished surrealist bent with straight up battling, like just straight up attacking and breaking down someone. And the dichotomy of those ideas, they never seem to overwhelm the other, you know what I mean? He could always drop something in there that would be left field, but it was always couched in something quite destructive, like, you know, think about the Sharon battle when he's going on the litany of, you know, King of the Dot pencil case and stuff like that, but still really tearing him down. He's so witty, so devastating, always capable of pulling out something ridiculous or composed. I mean, Kruger, you know, like a lot of these battlers, was someone that I really became obsessed with and someone who really, you know, introduced me to so much stuff inadvertently. You know, I mentioned on the show before that I'm such a Kruger stan that I'm a fan of his dad and his aunt, like, who are these incredible artists, Jeremy Scott Miller and Melissa Scott Miller. You know, his music as well, Kruger 7, all his editing, all the stuff that goes in. You know, me and Kruger are pretty much the same age, drawing from the same wellspring. You know, that kind of PS1 Nickelodeon core, brought up to date with a more, you know, horrorcore kind of idea. So yeah, Kruger early on, I remember seeing the O'Shea battle, the point round and stuff like that. O-shaped, and, you know, because Kruger's very accessible, but it's rarely done better. There's a simplicity and purity to his attack. You're going to get torso. You're in the middle of your torso. You're going to get bodied and, you know, the conceited stuff. But, yeah, I just adore Kruger. For me, like I say, it is those warring dialectics of him just being able to really go off the reservation, but really center on his opponent as well. Had Kruger on a few times on the show. Battle Resume 16 was with Kruger, really early episode, and that was just when I was getting a bit of confidence to ask everyone. That was kind of when the explosion was happening, when I was thinking I was going weekly, and when he said yes, that was like, because I hadn't really had anyone that was a real architect, you know, of the scene, someone historically relevant at that point. I don't think per se. You know, I had like Chiller and Bullets on and stuff like that at that point. But still, Kruger came on for that episode. As I mentioned before, me and Dave reviewed the Lazy EP, Barstow 3, Kruger came on versus Gemini, and of course just recently, I'm sure you guys might have listened to this already, where I had Kruger on and we went through his list of his top 250 movies and we talked about battling and him editing his videos and, you know, just all of that sort of stuff. Kruger's battles as well, you know, anything from the early days, because he just kind of wasn't quite of the age to get into the WRCs. He was just on the periphery of that, but of course he's in the audience in New York and stuff like that, which is so cool to see him there. But yeah, the early on battles, you know, when he's battling in the rain versus Enlish and Scissors, when he's battling Censor, that early choke versus DK, which made him to double down, the O'Shea battle, which is just like, it's so insane that like him and Osh and only a few of us were actually like really big names back then. So obviously, it wasn't wasted because we can still enjoy them now, but it's interesting. Obviously, that would have been a huge clash a few years later, but it's almost more charming that it happened then. The Verb T battle, and just really kicking into his stride, him going overseas, the Illusion Z battle, of course. I mean, Illusion Z, by the way, got in touch with me after the Kruger battle, emailed me. He wasn't very happy with what I was saying because I think I was rallying against him a little bit. and asked to come on, and I need to follow that up. Just reminding myself now, fuck, 3 years late on that response. But yeah, and of course, you see Kruger pulling back. There's quite a big break. It's becoming way more infrequent. The truth battle's fantastic, and then Saurus clash, and everyone talks about conceited and stuff like that. But yeah, got to have Kruger on there as well. You could tell he was sort of losing it a bit, losing his interest. He'll be the first to say that. The Fresco battle, the DNA battle, there's still lots of good stuff there. But, that kind of sharpened point that he was at, in 2009, 2010, 2011, that sort of stuff, that is really him. That is absolute peak for me, and infinitely rewatchable. Okay, we'll get on to the final two battlers now. Now, as I said before, this was really hard to think who am I going to put in. Obviously, I'm going to put Soul as one of these people. I'm going to talk about Soul shortly. But the other one, it was like there was so many on this list that I could have involved. There was C Major, Harry Baker, Soweto Kinch, Pamphlet, Archaic, Psychosis. This is just me. This is just Tom Kwei. This is who I like. Psychosis, Censor, Lunacy, Respect BA. Luigiano. Okay, maybe not Luigiano. Tenshu, Yunnan. But the person I had to go with, of course, I'm a pen guy. I had to go with Tony.
Battle rappers expose bios. It's logical. I don't care. War's fair, so I don't care what they rap with a pen in their palm. In battle rap, I expose biological warfare. I don't care. When I rap, I'm penning napalm. Cyanide soliloquies. Yeah. Cyanide soliloquies. My breath got that death smell when I exhale. Poison lines going over heads like chemtrails. The Agent Orange.
And the thing about Tony was, it was a slow thing for me to get into Tony D, to be honest with you, because I always felt that Osh beat him at 4th birthday. And I'm not saying that Tony wasn't great there, and I understand, the narrative Tony needed to win. And I'm like, whatever, if he won to you, he won. Like, that's fine. But I don't know what it was. It was just kind of seeing that. I wasn't necessarily just into him as much. Maybe it was partly that. Maybe it was other things. I don't really know. But everyone was like, Tony's the right guy. Tony's the right guy. And I was going back and I was watching the battles, and he had this kind of almost jokey persona there, and obviously coming from the pedigree of Poisonous Poets and stuff like that, and I was enjoying it. But it was only really when I saw him live, when I saw him versus Chris Lees at 5th birthday, where he's a little sloppy, he's a little drunken master, but he still brings it, and he has that artisanal approach to his punchlines. They're so economic, they're so well thought out, they're so delicate, really, that I just had to go back. And then only going back, I was like, holy fuck, like, he's so good versus Definition. Ilmac battle's excellent. Adam the Rapper battle, I can watch. The Shotty battle, that sequence that he does, the whole pen in they palm, that whole thing that, put in subtitles, like the whole thing that he goes back to. And then the Yunnan battle straight after, the views on your verse dragger page, ain't the views from the label office, and, touchdown in the pad, and the gaps in the T spell out friend zone, and there's I don't know, we saw that grey hoodie looks. Like, there's something about cashmere sweater Tony. Like, he's normally rocking the DF merch, but there he was just so chilled, he was so stoned, and he was just so fantastic. Like, he was just wonderful in that battle versus Yunnan. Pushing forward, of course, we have the Raptor clash, great clash. Raptor won. Still don't get why people think Tony won, and it was upsetting. And these people know who they are. When we were at the All-Star Game 2, and there was a crowd of us chatting, and we always hang out at events and stuff, and everyone was saying Tony won, which I was just, don't really get that. But still, Raptor as well possibly could have been in my top 10, but didn't quite make it. Shocks as well. There's a few others. Let us know in the live chat. Let us know in the comments down below who your top 10 is. But I worship Tony from then on. The Rivers and Fura battle. You should have known we're EastEnders from the start. You'll see Rivers flat out. I think about that bar constantly. The Templar Surfer battle. The goat on the wall, like the Alpine Ibex. Like, fuck! And just the way he broke Templar down and really like silenced him forever. Like I don't know, I've never really been on that wave, pun, but yeah, I just think he's extraordinary there. The BA battle, okay, late era, not as enjoyable. Yeah, he was good versus Sirius. Sirius was horrible, what an embarrassment. But I mean, Tony's another one. That I just think is just a wonderful performer, such an intelligent guy, and just so comfortable. Like, you really, there are some battlers that they stumble, or you always feel that they're just on the verge of they're just kind of going into a certain abyss that they might not come out of. And okay, Tony, as I said before, Drunken Master to a certain extent, but he's just so. He's so seasoned with it. He's just so in the pocket. And yeah, I just adore Tony. Of course, we've had Tony on the show a fair few times. We did the BRR together. Go check out all these old BRRs, by the way. What did we do? We did BRR number 73, and then I had Soul and Tony on to discuss the upcoming clash and Chalked Out. I also did an episode with Crafty. Oh yeah, I did an episode with Crafty on Top 5 Tony rounds. Tony came back on as well. To build up to the JC clash at Premier Battles Apex, which, that episode's aged like milk, really. But, yeah, I've got to put Tony there. Now we get to my final one, which, of course, is Soul. Everyone knows that Soul is my favourite battler.
You got long empty setups in one bar, that's Steve Austin writing. 3-minute rounds. Yo, 3-minute rounds, 48 bars, that's what they're timing. So how those 316 Stone Colds, you only care what the bottom line is. Well, fuck your bars. Let's get personal, since you actually think I'm shooken. How the fuck could I be scared of a man that would hit a woman? Yo, I said you deserved this shot. I was trying to be a nice geezer. It was you, Quiller, Gems, and both of those guys beat you. But Gems, see, they'll turn Big T to a string vest. Whew, that line's ether, but you're more like a string vest.
Soul was really the person that got me obsessed with battle rap, like at the point of me getting into it. I'm such a cliche in so many ways, but I'm such a cliche in terms of battle rap where, someone put on Grist and someone put on, Matter and Eddie P and Luna and Frisco. And I was at the races, I was watching lots and lots of stuff and really enjoying it, but I'd never really encountered anything that I felt was incendiary, that I felt really was what I wanted from battle rap. I didn't even know really what I wanted from battle rap until I saw Soul versus Matter. And I'm not kidding you, I watched that battle daily for like 6 months. I had it on all the time. Like, I was just Soul and Matter from both ends, but just someone going down into that intellectual pursuit, someone really kind of, to a fault, to a certain extent. Like, all the criticisms of Soul completely make sense to me, and I understand. But it's just that, similar to Pedro, he never stopped doing what he was doing, he definitely kind of got sharper in a sense and got less esoteric in certain elements of it. And, we see kind of probably from the return, I would say the Mr. 13 battle's good, but it's the most prob battle, where we really kind of, get into the golden period, the golden time, as he speaks about versus Real Deal. And then we have the Old English battle, the Pesci battle, which is essentially just Wire Bars, the Pesci battle, Sketch Menace. Oh my god, I can't believe what a run this is. Most prob, Soul, of course Soul, most prob, Old English, Low Pesci, Sketch Menace, Arc. The Arc battle's terrific as well. The Yunnan clash, where it's more of a whispery Soul. Overseas Pigstar, Body Cracker as well, Nestle. Like, he was just see Major Clash as well, the Raptor. Like, he just, who can so easily clown on you and make you feel stupid, both in terms of what you're doing and then also just in terms of what he's saying, kind of the heights that he's reaching in his own writing. Soul's the greatest. I mean, everyone knows that it's unhealthy, my obsession with Soul, to be honest with you. And go back to the Madflex episode, I was I'm not proud of that. Actually, no, I think I am proud of that. but yeah, I kind of went a bit too far there. But yeah, Soul, there we go. that caps off my top 10. You've heard me speak about Soul a little more eloquently with notes in other episodes. But, yeah, I adore the man. So just to recap, these are my top 10 UK battlers in no particular order. So these are just the ones that I love the most. Let's go from the top backwards. Soul, Tony, Kruger, Marlowe, Shuffle, Shotty, Osh, Gem, and Ogmios. So let me know, guys, what your top 10 are, who you value the most. And let's just go on to the comments now and see what you've all been saying, because we've still got quite a good audience here. So shout out to everyone in the live right now. Let's see what people are saying for their top 10. Okay, Sean Cray is saying Wizard, Kruger, Luna, O'Shea, Sensor, Soul, Shuffle, Tony, Arc, Scoop. Scoop in top 10, interesting. And there's people saying, Josh is saying Tony D, Soul, C Major, O'Shea, Yunnan, Sensor, Shocks, Gem, Shuffle, Arc. So yeah, we've got a few similar ones there. Connor Ainsworth asking in the chat if Young Crumpet's on the list. I mean, you know, Young Crumpet, Luigiana, it was hard. It was hard to keep both of those out. Cripple saying Osh, Tony D, Luna, Soul, Definition, yeah, Def, Sensor, Matter, Shotty, Chrisley's, Pedro are his top 10. People are just commenting on what I was saying. Yeah, such a shame that the DF Extra channel was deleted. So much good content on there. I mean, if you guys missed the DF Extra channel, I probably have about a percentage of it on 2 videos on the BRR channel called RIP Don't Flop Extra. So basically, I did this show early on BRR called Exploring Don't Flop Extra, where the idea was that I was going to watch every Don't Flop Extra video, which looking back is fucking crazy. There were so many of them, so much inane shit as well. But yeah, so that was on there. Connor Ainsworth saying, in relevance to when we're talking about Gem versus Vicious was December 2013. It wasn't actually a Don't Flop event. It was an E&D party set with battles and interlude between sets. Impact versus Mr. Tongue Twister. Always like, Connor, this guy is a font of knowledge. And people in the comments seeming to think that I was doing this in order and putting Gem at number 9. Cameron saying Og style really aged horribly. Oh, interesting. I think quite the opposite, actually. But, you know, that's the thing, isn't it, about Battle Rap? We've all got different eyes. We've all got different ears. People correcting me that it was 8th birthday. 7th birthday was Gem Dialect with Swave. Yep, that's right. Okay. Being a sleeper pick for top 10 UK battlers, Cameron said. Yeah, I understand that. Kid Twist Freoed as well. Connor saying Er's been on Pun It as well. Yeah, Pun It, guys. Like my competitive wordplay game show podcast. I've had a few battlers on that now. I've had Crafty on there. I've had Harry Baker. Heretic's been on there. Bagnall as well. So let's see. Cameron's taking notes on my list. People asking if there's a guest on here, and it's just myself. Sean saying the guest is a mime. 11 Gingin saying Definition versus DK is the greatest UK battle of all time. Hughesy, who I had on the show recently for Checkpoint 2, how's it going, mate? Saying his top 10: Shotty, Soul, Tony, Yunnan, Raptor, Archaic, Definition, Gemini, Luna, O'Shea. So yeah, there seems to be this kind of Soul, Tony, you know, Gem, O'Shea kind of thing going on, like Luna. Like, I think most people's top 10, if we did a census of them all, listed them all together, it probably derived for about 25. My solo ramblings are much better to listen to. Thank you, Jack. I appreciate that. I don't know if I agree. Who else are people talking about here? Lazy EP is our generation's 1984, Jack. Look, waking up to the hum of that blue DVD menu screen is... That's double speak. That's news speak, low key. Like the clock struck Kruger. Definition getting mentioned. Beanie in the chat. Beanie, what's good as well. So yeah, if you guys have got any more top 10s, drop them in the chat. Who else is saying? Mitch is saying, can't name all my top 10s, but my favourites are Lefty, Ogmios, Double L, Bowski, Shocks the Rebel. Shade saying Soul, Kruger, Luna, Respect, Osh, Tony, Shuffle, Dialect, Shotty, Double L, C Major. Oh, that's 11. And, I'm sure some battlers are going to give me grief. And, what's new, really? Let me know what your top 10 is down below in the comments. It's been fun going through all these, rambling away. I should have made more notes, really, but still, this is just something to put out there. Like, I want to start doing more of these, freestyle, so to speak, vlogs and such. So if you've got any other topics that you want me to explore or get into, let us know in the comments down below. Follow us at battlerapresume. Get in touch with me, battlerapresume@gmail.com. If you're down with the show, you want to support the show, like quite a few people do, and I'm so grateful for that. Patreon.com/battlerapresume. Hit us up on iTunes, leave us a review. Do check out Pun It, by the way, my competitive wordplay game show podcast, where I had on recently, amongst other people. Really fun. Essentially we're just setting up 2 categories and people have to pun off them. So if it'd be like collars and British prime ministers, you could have like, Gordon Brown's an obvious one, but you can have like trying to think on top of my head, it's quite difficult. Robert Teal, you can have Robert Teal there. Benjamin Disraeli, probably not the best advert for the game right now, but let's keep it battle rap. So what am I working on for future BRRs? We've got another classic event rewind coming up shortly. So basically what we're going to be doing is looking back at the 2013 2-on-2 tournament that started all the way back then at Distinction and obviously culminated in seeing Cracker being crowned champions. I'm going to do some more Mastermind. We're going to be doing a Mastermind tournament throughout the time here, throughout the lockdown. I've got to be honest with you guys, if we get everyone on this tournament that we're projected to get, I'm probably going to have to write like 300 questions, which I was already scraping the bottom of the barrel with some of the later episodes trying to come up with stuff. And, if it was up to me, we'd cover overseas stuff, which I know, as well as I know UK stuff. But often with the episodes, I try and slot in a URL or King of the Dot question. And I understand whatever, you don't watch it, it's fine, But it's not fair, is it? If you pit someone against someone else and they know about King of the Dot and the other person doesn't, or they got the app, they got the URL app or something like that. So I'm trying to think of a way around that. It would be helpful if you guys can send any ideas you have for questions or topics that we can cover on Mastermind, maybe even new round ideas. But yeah, what I want to do is a knockout tournament. So probably like 8 matches, parlaying into a final. Hopefully do all those live as well. Probably, what else can I cover on here? I'm trying to think of other guests that I want to get on. In terms of the UK scene, if we're just talking UK battlers, because today we're talking about top 10 UK battlers, I've got most people. The majority. Like, let me just go on Verse Tracker now because it's quite useful. Where you can go on to battlers and you can go via country and you can see who the most watched are. And I'm pretty sure in terms of the UK, I've got everyone outside of Professor Green, who, I don't want to say he doesn't count, but, I'm talking people who've sort of battled in the quote-unquote YouTube era. But yeah, if we're looking at the top 16, so Ervil and Marlowe, Professor Green, Tony D, Shuffle, Yunnan, Blizzard, Lunacy, Mark Grist, O'Shea, Shotty. Shotty is now the number 1 most viewed. I don't know if he always was. He might have overtaken O'Shea quite recently, maybe last year or so. So you need to get Shotty on. And then going down there, I haven't got Pedro, I haven't got DK, Lefty. There's a few. Zen I've tried to get on a few times, and it's just like timing never seems to work out. Youth, Brucey, said he would, but that was before he became a global music superstar, so probably wouldn't anymore. Jefferson Price as well. Oh, Cecil. Had Cecil on recently. Check out the Cecil episode. So yeah, I'm just rambling now, really. So people saying in the chat, best try ever watched, Double L versus Dialect, 2 of my favourites. Okay, Truth was sick as well, Beanie saying. So, I'll wrap it up there, guys, but I will be back for more episodes in the future. So, leave your top 10 down below. Let me know what you thought of my top 10 as well. As always, stay safe out there. Pursue your interests if possible. Are you furloughed? Are you working from home? Whatever. I'm lucky in the sense that I could sort of take a computer from work and do everything here, so it's not as bad as it could be. But it's mad times out there. And it made sense for some reason tonight to sit down for an hour or so and ramble about my top 10 favourite battlers. I'm going to go watch a little playlist probably of all of their stuff and then watch The Americans, me and my girlfriend. Well, my girlfriend's never seen it, but I've seen the first couple of seasons and we're really into it. It's fucking great. So yeah, if you guys need a new show, need a new recommendation, check out The Americans on FX. Fantastic show about sleeper agents in the Cold War in the 80s. So yeah, this has been Tom. BRR, as always, just to recap finally, that top 10, my top 10, as of April 2020. Can't really see this changing. It was a debate between Shotty and Yunnan, and I still don't know if I made the right choice. Just for me, like I've got so many memories attached to Yunnan, and it's just like, I don't know, there's something so likeable about Yunnan despite his online persona. But yeah, so that was Ogmios, Jem, Osh, Shotty, Shuffle, Marlowe, Kruger, Tony D, and Soul. And as always, I've been Soliloquy, and I'll see you later, guys. Bye.